How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading when the price is going up or down. Over on Dixie for the daily, we are rejecting our EMAs and continuing to drop down. We are overall rejecting and continuing lower. Watch for a double top. We have a rise, a drop, a rise, and a drop. That creates a double top. That could bring us lower. It could bring us toward the top of this golden pocket range, which could bring us even lower. Remember, that's a manipulation area where you can go from the top to the bottom very quick. VWAP is pushing bearish, that yellow wave. We do have lower lows. Momentum is pushing down. We are below the neutral and money flow is in the red. So as that VWAP and momentum continue to drop, money flow will remain red and Dixie will continue to sell off. We are seeing a little more correlation. There is some CPI positivity. We may see rate cuts this week. So watch very close. Watch the CPI, or not this week, but I don't know why that's popping up right now, but we will get rate cuts. Possibly. It's very likely. I think it's about 50% chance. They were talking that CPI was doing better, so with CPI doing better, that becomes more likely. That means more money will move into riskier assets like Bitcoin, so we could start seeing stocks and Bitcoin act more correlated like they did in the bull run. That's the long and the short. Stochastic is dropping down, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is favoring bearish, so I would exercise caution. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the day, we are continuing up. We are trying to push down though, so I would watch if we retest the EMA and continue up. We could continue the bullish trend. That would mean Bitcoin would continue to outperform our altcoins. We won't get very high for very long. If we look at the weekly, we haven't been very high. We do have like a consolidation range, so this is kind of a resistance area if you want to consider previous price history. So you have supports here, here, and here. So if we break above this, we could see another Bitcoin boom here without our altcoins. So that's kind of the long and short of what you would want to watch. If we see Bitcoin dominance break above this, kind of hard to see, 58% level, then we could continue forward. However, if we reject this level, we could see our altcoins outperform Bitcoin. So over on our altcoins, we'll jump to the daily since we don't need all that price data jumbled together. Over on the daily, we are trying to reject, so I would exercise caution. We did break that 300 EMA, and we are pushing down. That could put a double bottom possibility in jeopardy, so I would exercise caution. It may be more of a symmetrical triangle now, and as it didn't come from a rise up or a drop down, that does give us a 50-50 pattern to push either up or down. Not very good pattern to watch. Stochastic doesn't want to pull back, RSI is selling off, momentum is breaking down, VWAP is breaking neutral, and money flow does want to sell off. If we draw our trend lines, our triangle would be possibly somewhere in here. Let to kind of see real quick. So possibly something like that. And then that would give you a 50-50% chance to break up or down. If we broke up, that'd be in our golden pocket. That could continue to push us up, and we would see that double bottom still break forward. However, if we see a break to the bottom, making lower lows here, then we could continue lower and continue to the bottom of this kind of consolidation range that we have. That could mean our altcoins would sell off. Stochastic is dropping down, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding with a red dot, VWAP is breaking down, and money flow is selling off. So overall, I would exercise caution. We could continue to see altcoins sell off here. Over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we are trying to break that value area low, but we're not really gaining much momentum. I would watch here. We are kind of stalling right at that resistance level, and if we don't break above it, then we could continue to drop down. So our stochastic is rounding. Today's candle is the red candle. Tomorrow's candle is green, so watch for that green candle to break that value area low and hold above it. But momentum does want to push up. Money flow is gaining strength. VWAP is trying to round down, so I would watch. We will jump into lower time frames here. Over on the 4 hour, we are rejecting that 300 EMA, but we're trying to pull back into our EMA band, so I would watch. If we can pull back into that band and continue with higher highs and higher lows, then we could continue forward. We did end up pushing down. We did not quite fill that gap yet, so I would exercise caution. That gap is important to fill sooner rather than later. Remember, if we push up, don't fill that gap, we could end up crashing back down. VWAP does want to pull back, momentum is selling off, money flow is bearish, stochastic selling off, and RSI is pulling back, so I would exercise caution. Over on the 2 hour, we did come back up toward that 300 EMA, and we rejected it again, so we are pushing down. I would watch. Momentum is favoring bearish, VWAP is favoring bearish, money flow does want to break down, RSI is weakening, and that stochastic is pretty beat down, so if it does not reverse, RSI could lead price lower. Here on the 1 hour, we are rejecting our 300. Our EMA bands do look like they want to switch, So if that black band ends up on top, we could see the bears gain control, and we could try to break that 57k level. VWAP is trying to push up though, momentum wants to gain strength, money flow is bearish, watch that VWAP. If that VWAP can stay bullish, we could continue forward. We do have another gap below us, so I would watch for that gap to fill tomorrow. If that gap does fill and we continue lower, that would be more of the ideal situation, even though you want price to go up. So over on Bitcoin for the daily, very similar. We are potentially rejecting that double bottom possibility. Again, we could try to break forward still. Don't say it's shot, but I would watch very close. If we break that support level, it could end up being shot, or if we break that 300 EMA and make lower lows. Momentum does want to round. We have a red dot. VWAP is breaking down. Money flow is favoring bearish. Stochastic is pushing down, and RSI is starting to sell off. So again, exercise caution. We tried to hold this 300 EMA on the 4 hour, but we were unsuccessful, and we are seeing lower highs with lower lows. RSI is pulling back, stochastic is selling off, VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is breaking down, and money flow is bullish. But with that VWAP favoring bearish, that money flow could start to reverse, so watch lower time frames. Over on the 1 hour, we have a breakdown followed by consolidation. Watch as that's a bear flag. A bear flag would continue to push you down, and that could push toward that support level. We did reject that EMA as well. We are trying to make a rounding bottom, but watch for confirmation. If the next candle is red, we could reject our EMA band and continue lower still. Momentum does want to head up. VWAP is trying to break bullish, but we have higher lows. Watch for higher highs. If we get higher highs and we stay above neutral, momentum will gain strength, money flow will push up, and price will try to break that 300 EMA. However, if that VWAP cannot gain higher highs and push momentum and money flow higher, then it's likely we could reject. Over on the 1 hour, we are trying to break that 300 EMA. If we can hold it here, we could see that break on higher time frames and continue to push up. Watch for higher highs with higher lows that do not connect to create a bullish trend or other bullish patterns that we cover in that Mastering the Trade link. Stochastic does want to push up, RSI is gaining strength, VWAP is pushing up, momentum is gaining strength, we have bullish divergence pushing us forward and giving that money flow strength. If that VWAP can stay bullish here, money flow could go from red to green, that would give us a trend reversal, and if it holds for several hours, we could gain further bullish momentum. So like we said, that pattern quite isn't shot yet, but just exercise caution. So over on graph for the daily, we are rounding away. We do have a manipulation X. Stochastic is pushing down. Momentum is rounding with a red dot. VWAP is breaking down. That momentum could continue lower with that red dot as that VWAP favors bearish. So watch that close. That could continue to weaken that money flow. Stochastic is dropping. RSI is pulling back. I would watch very close. This could push us down toward that 1157. We have been warning about that. So watch for lower lows. We do have some gaps to fill. So ideally we would fill those gaps and then continue forward. RSI is pulling back, VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is pushing down, money flow does want to break down, stochastic is overall favoring bearish. If that stochastic does not reverse and hold above that 30, RSI will continue to lead price lower, and we could see some sort of bear flag. We are kind of consolidating, dropping, so just watch for that trend to continue. If it does, it's likely we would drop. Stochastic does want to pull back here. It is trying to run up though, so watch. We do have a bullish cross that could help push RSI and price forward if that VWAP can stay above our neutral. Momentum is trying to push forward and money flow does want to gain strength. Again, that's dependent on that VWAP. If that VWAP breaks down, it's likely we would continue lower. On the 1 hour, we do have somewhat of a descending channel here. The lows and highs don't really connect into a descending channel, so that can't break us forward. This may be a bearish continuation. Stochastic does want to push up, it's starting to round, keep an eye on that. RSI is pushing up, VWAP does want to break neutral. We need to get higher highs with this higher low. If we do, we can push up, but if we do not get higher highs with this higher low, it's likely momentum will round away, money flow will remain bearish, and higher time frames would continue lower then. So over on Ankr for the daily, we are starting to round away. Again, we did break away, making that rounding top. Stochastic is breaking down. RSI is pulling back. Momentum does want to round with that red dot, so watch our VWAP. If it holds bearish, momentum will lose further momentum, and it will start to weaken that money flow even further, deepening that red. Over on the E4 hour, we are rejecting that 300 EMA overall, rejecting multiple EMAs. We do have a gap to the upside, though. Remember, Ankr loves its gaps, and gaps have an 80% likelihood to fill. VWAP does have higher lows. Watch for a higher high. If we get higher high, momentum could push up, money flow could gain strength, and we could continue forward. Yet we are on the bottom end of our EMA band, so just watch for a rejection. If we reject this EMA band, that's where we could push down toward these support areas, these gapped areas. fill those, and then possibly continue up with higher lows and then getting higher highs hopefully afterwards. So over on the 2 hour, we are rejecting our 300 EMA. If this continues, we will continue to reject that on higher time frames. Our stochastic is dropping down, RSI is pulling back, momentum is breaking, but we have a double green dot as that VWAP does have higher lows. Watch for a higher high. If we get higher high and hold above neutral, momentum could push forward and give money flow further strength. However, if that VWAP rejects here and gets a lower high, it's likely we would continue down. Over on the 1 hour, we do have lower highs with lower lows. They don't really connect. We have a lot of gaps everywhere. It looks like Morse code almost. RSI does want to push up, stochastic is pushing forward, momentum does want to push up. VWAP is trying to break that neutral, and money flow is kind of indecisive. It's going bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish. Watch that VWAP close. That VWAP needs to hold a trend. Whichever trend it holds is likely going to be the direction of the market. We do have some gaps to the downside yet. We are rejecting that 300 EMA. So odds are we could end up pushing down, then pushing back forward afterwards. And that would be more of the ideal situation, just like we said on futures. So over on XRP for the daily, the short time target for Bitcoin right now, if we jump over to Bitcoin, we're looking for some sort of a bounce right around this 57K. That is where that futures gap is. We have that futures gap right around that 54.1 here. So if we can't hold that 57K area, there is a high chance we would push down toward that gap at that 54K. And if we can't hold that area, that's where we could lose further momentum. So those are kind of the supports we're looking at. If we can get above our resistance, then we're looking at breaking that 61.7. So that 300 EMA is going to be key here. So we will jump back to Ankr now that we've answered that question. Sorry, I didn't get on that right away. But over on the 4 hour, I believe that's where we left off. We are overall pushing down. RSI is pulling back. Stochastic's dropping. VWAP is pushing down. Momentum is breaking. Money flow does want to pull back. So watch lower time frames. If they favor bearish, we could continue lower. Actually, we were on this 2 hour. Again, this 2 hour does have several gaps everywhere. Gaps have 80% likelihood to fill. So we could continue to reject our 300 EMA and continue lower. So I believe we were actually on XRP. Sorry about that. So over on XRP, we are trying to break that 57 and hold. That is positive. If we can stay above this resistance, we could continue forward. No problem, Mohammed. Our stochastic does want to drop down. RSI is weakening. That VWAP does want to round away. Momentum is gaining strength, and money flow does want to break that neutral. If that VWAP can stay bullish, momentum could continue forward, and money flow could continue up, and we could make a push up to that 67. But of course, we need to break that 60. That 60 has been a pretty strong resistance area for us. Then we have that like 62. RSI is starting to pull back on the 4 hour. VWAP is pushing up. Momentum is gaining strength. Money flow is bullish. We do look positive here. We need to continue forward. We are kind of pushing down. We could make a cup and handle on lower time frames, possibly. And if we do, that could push us up. So watch for that very close. We would need to stay above that 57 for that to happen. So yeah, kind of on this 2 hour, we're getting this little scoop down, then we're pushing up and then rejecting back down. That rejection back down, if it scoops back forward, hits that neckline right around this like 58 and then continues forward, could continue to push us up to that 61, 62 area. However, if we reject this area, that's where we would push lower and potentially break that 300 EMA, as there would have been a bullish pattern and a rejection of that bullish pattern. VWAP does have higher highs. We do have bullish trend here. Momentum is pushing up. Money flow is bullish. Stochastic is pushing up, and RSI is pretty maxed out. So we do look decent on the 2 hour. Just watch very close. We need to continue forward here if we're going to get that cup and handle break up. Stochastic does want to pull back on the 1 hour. We have a reversal arrow, but we're pushing forward, so that could be positive. Momentum does want to round. That VWAP is pulling back, and money flow is bearish. So watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP gets a lower low and favors bearish here, momentum will break down, money flow would remain bearish, and we would reject that bullish pattern. However, if that VWAP can bounce and make a higher low, staying in bullish territory, momentum could bring money flow higher, and we would see that break forward. So last but not least on ALGO, unless there's any special requests, we are seeing that rounding top here as well, rejecting that EMA band. Stochastic is pushing down, RSI is following, momentum is rounding with a red dot as that VWAP breaks down. Watch that VWAP close as it will lead momentum lower, which will cause money flow to continue to sell off, which will bring price lower as well. So that's how they kind of relate if you haven't caught that. RSI is pushing down, stochastic is weakening. Watch that stochastic as it weakens, RSI will continue lower. VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is breaking down, and money flow is pulling back. So I would exercise caution. Over on the 2 hour, we have lower highs and lower lows, so we are continuing a bearish trend. Stochastic is pushing down, RSI is pushing down. That VWAP does want to break neutral. Watch it very close. If we can break and hold above that neutral, we could push up and retest that EMA. However, if we reject that EMA, that neutral area with that VWAP, momentum will remain bearish, money flow will continue to weaken, and we could continue lower. The bullish scenario would be making a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder, making an inverted head and shoulder, and then breaking forward. If we do not do that, then it's likely we would continue lower. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic is pushing up, momentum is gaining strength, money flow does want to push up. Watch that VWAP wave, higher lows with higher highs. If that can maintain, we can continue forward. However, if that VWAP breaks bearish and makes a slightly lower high compared to this wave back here, then we could end up breaking down. So I would watch that part very close, and we could end up breaking lower. Our next support, remember, if we do not hold this like 1183, is at 1032. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope